Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting on August 14th at 9. First on the agenda is Cinda Hoteling, our financial review for a financial review. Yeah.
Thank you.
All good news.
No. You'll see. You'll see. So I left, getting a headache.
Okay, so starting off with our spending overview, shows a second quarter expected spending amount of $61.3 million, or 29% of our $150 million revised budget. Actual spending through June 30th was over $57 million, thus underspending according to the projection by $4.1 million. The revenue overview shows a second quarter expected revenue amount of $62.7 million, or 31% of our $142.4 million revised budget. Actual revenues through June 30th were $54.3 million, thus incurring a revenue shortfall of $8.4 million according to the projection.
And hopefully you all saw Alan Ruffles' email a while back. Basically, the overall, we're spending faster than we are getting revenue in this year, which was consistent with last year.
I was going to say that should change though as CHIPS payments come in and everything else, right? In the next few months.
We don't, it could. We don't think so because we use projections rather than point in time numbers that factor that in from years past. So if we're having a huge increase in chips this year relative to the past 2 or 3 years, that would definitely change the situation, but we're not expecting that.
Yeah, but even with the nicer weather, they're getting more done. So where last year, I think they couldn't do as much.
Yep.
So
I think you'd be more likely to see that in the third quarter presentation. All right, so for our countywide underspending, we're seeing highways. For CHIPS, the bulk of the underspending is seen in capital maintenance for items that were out of control of the department, coupled with stalled paving projects. These expenditures are offset by revenues to be discussed on a future slide. For road construction, underspending is seen in Bridge New York account line. As mentioned in the first quarter, there is a lack of consistency with these projects. Offsetting revenue, similar to CHIPS, will be discussed on the next slide. We could go to 6, Alan. Great. For our under revenues, we're seeing the road fund, and this consists of 3 state revenue sources: CHIPS, Pave New York, and Bridge New York. For CHIPS and Pave New York, the department submitted projects at the end of last year and did not have anything to claim in their February submission. Typically, there are projects or billing that are not ready for the November submission and are carried over to February. As for Bridge New York, there is a lack of expenses as shown on the underspending slide, thus affecting the amount of revenues received for this account line. For the machinery fund, the bulk of under revenues is occurring in consolidated highway aid, again due to a lack of expenses. And we'll skip to 10. For our position overview, the county accounted for 508 employees on payroll at the end of the second quarter. This included an overall total increase of 19 employees. Machinery under the highway department saw an increase of 1 employee, while building services and the highway maintenance both saw a decrease of 2 employees. Our vacancy rate currently stands at 20%, which includes full-time, part-time, and temp positions. Of our 570 budgeted positions, 116 of those remain vacant. This is an increase of 5 vacant positions from the first quarter. Our highest number of vacancies are seen in DSS, the Sheriff's Department, and Highways, which account for 11% of the overall vacancy rate. Highway maintenance had 13 vacancies this quarter, its highest vacancy rate since the quarterly reviews started. Year-to-date budget changes can be seen in building services with an overall total of $238,000 being moved from contingency. And then for our watch list,
Actually, Jacinda, before we go, we should mention at HSC, we learned that there will be some additional Section 730 people we have to pay for. These are those folks the courts have accused for a crime, but they're mentally unable to, and so they go to these things. We think we may need to take perhaps even north of $900,000 out of our contingent this year. And we don't know if that's going to extend into next year. We just, this is practically unprojectable. It's so up and down. So just keep that in mind. If you add the 900,000 to this 238, if those are solid numbers, right, we're already at about $1.1 million in our total contingency this year was 1.8.
And to speak on that, the 238 doesn't include what we've taken in July. Because this only goes through June, the second quarter, and I know there was some movement in July as well.
So
So,
big picture, we're on track to spend at a faster rate and more, just like we did in 24.
You said this 900,000 for 3 people, right now.
Yes,
This 15 grand to pay to keep these people.
I'm sorry. It's 50 grand a month, and I believe we capped 900 people comes from 3 people times 6 months.
We can go get more.
and the state doesn't pay any of it.
No, they used to pay half, now they don't pay anything.
So we should be hitting on
We have, actually, Meg sent an email out, which I can't remember whether it was with the whole board, but I got to see a piece of it. And
That was in addition to Adrian's email.
oh, I'm sorry, Adrian.
Right.
Adrian's, not Meg. I'm sorry.
She
To
said,
Oberacher and
Right.
all
Yeah.
those people.
that's, good luck with that.
Yeah.
They're too busy spending for legal defense.
The other thing to keep in mind, this is a big, the reason I said Meg is because this is a big preoccupation of NISAC.
it. As it
Even
should
at,
be.
even at the county administrator level, there's constant pushback on this, or trying to organize a pushback. So,
Well, if you look at the trends, the mental health issues are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not a surprise.
What's the consequence at some point of us just not paying that invoice? I mean, I'm just saying that, I understand the liability side of it, but the optics or the political side of it. What's the consequence if
Right.
we start holding payment?
I'll speculate. One, the particular judge may order you to pay, and that would likely be a local judge. Okay, 1. 2, I'm fairly certain the state would get worked up about this, and normally in that kind of circumstance, they find some way to withhold some funding. I believe I don't know this for a fact, but I believe the Division of Budget, or at least somewhere in the state, they have the authority to squeeze
Like sales tax
or just funding for something in DSS or mental health or something like that.
So maybe it's time we start going public with this and making it stick to that, such as a press conference.
I would coordinate that with NISAC, but
Yeah.
And I think we should highlight this in the when we deliver the budget to people. Especially if we have something like a friggin', pardon me. Especially if we have something like we have to raise property taxes more than anyone is comfortable with. I think this is something that should be front and center, in my view.
Well, the same thing is like, nice, we're not the only county with this problem.
Right.
Absolutely. That's why I think we need to coordinate with them and, push on this, because it's just a money
The
thing.
public has absolutely no idea about this, I can guarantee you.
I didn't know until you mentioned it at the last meeting, like, what?
Okay, we're kind of getting off of public
Yeah.
works here a little bit, so
Yeah, this is a PSLA.
we'll leave it there.
Yeah, sure. Don't
Yeah.
on me, thanks.
Here we
Guy in
go.
the blue
There
shirt.
we go.
All right, back at it, guys. All right, our watch list. The watch list from the 2025 budget process is currently monitoring 23 requests totaling $652,000. Line item amounts for personnel requests include offsetting revenues and fringe benefit costs. Building services saw progress made on the watch list, having purchased the Ferris mower in April. And in May, building services received approval to utilize the ambulance reserve to fund the EMS barn paving project. For the strategic plan, public works departments have completed 44% of their strategic plan initiatives by the end of the second quarter. This is an increase of 28% from the first quarter. 28 essential activities are on track, 2 are slated for future progress, and 2 have yet to be started. Building services saw the largest progress update thus far, having completed 48% of their essential activities for the year. And then for our timeline, third quarter presentations will be given to committees in November.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Give me a headache again, thanks.
Have some Tylenol.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Tim Donahue, who is on vacation this week, so I guess it's up to me. Tim's looking for approval to renew a contract for the HVA system. Contract bid is OTG OB 013-23 with Oster and Jackal Corporation. The amount of, I guess there's no amount.
Oh, no.
From October 1st to September 30th, 2026. Time and material, it says. There a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we, set up? That's what we see them?
Yeah,
No, I don't think so.
No, it's a time and materials. We have no idea what it is.
It might be 10,000, it may be $5.
For 900,000?
If you look at the line, it's limited by the amount for this particular line in the budget.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, so not to exceed the budget line.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Marietta,
Yes.
Scanlon.
Aye.
Mendez.
Yes.
Passed, giving no notes. Next is the seeking approval of miscellaneous plumbing service contract bid OTG OB -009-23 with Pepperson's and Son LLC to extend the term from September 6th to September 5th, 2026. That is also time and material.
So moved not to exceed the budget line.
second.
Motion is second, and we have a discussion. Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Marietta,
Yes.
Scanlon.
Aye.
Mendez.
Yes.
Okay, that passed. Next is seeking approval for EMCOR services of Effingham to renew and renew the oil and gas fire boil maintenance repair for Otsego County, bid number OTGOV-013-24 in the amount not to exceed $18,257, including a 5.35 increase for prevailing hourly wage for the term of October 15th to October 14th of 2026.
So,
Second.
so just for clarification, 5.35% for prevailing hourly wage, that's included within the 18,257.
I would imagine.
Say,
And
I think he's just highlighting for us, because it's,
Because it went up, the contract probably went up.
right.
Any more discussion? Roll call vote.
McCarty?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Marietta?
Yes.
Scanlon?
Aye.
Mendez?
Okay, that passed. That's all Tim had on his agenda, but under building services. No, you're not, you're just not, right on time. Joey, I'd like to have the discussion about the monument out front. Dan and I looked at that monument last week, and it does need some repairs on it. Tim looked at it with us, and he asked him to clean up some loose stone on the bottom and also put up a sign that says, "Watch your step." We also looked at the trees, and one problem with the trees, there's a guide wire going to one of them that pulls up the big pole up there, so. But I guess my question is, what is our next step? Legally, can we give permission for people to work on this on the grounds?
I believe we own it, don't we? It's on our parcel.
We own the property.
You own the monument according to the village yesterday.
Oh,
They say that the county owns it, and apparently, the last time it was fixed in 2007, they went through the Veterans Administration to get some money apparently for, work on it. He's no longer with us.
No, I mean, did the county go
Yes.
to the VA
Oh, I don't.
or
know.
did the
That's-
village?
No,
I'm
the village
just not
isn't,
aware.
and they're not going to spend any money on it. I was informed yesterday.
Chair,
yes,
maybe we could explore, because we're not gonna do anything this year.
No,
That's not gonna happen,
well,
other than what we already discussed, possibly removing that tree. Apparently that one tree sucks up all the water. That's why the shrubs on that side.
they're not really dead.
Well, those are new ones.
Oh,
Those are the ones I asked to be replaced about 2 years ago.
oh,
But there were ones on that whole side of it. Why don't we explore looking for a grant through veterans?
I was under the understanding that this was funded by somebody. You had money to do this?
no, I was asking that you in the village and Jane Clark step in towards it because, it's got her family
Yeah,
member. I mean, I sent her a letter, but she has not gotten back to me. I don't think she will, but
I don't think it's gonna take a huge sum of money to do what needs to be done. We talked about putting up a ramp with a 12-on-1 pitch so that somebody in a wheelchair could access the top, see the marker and everything else. I don't think it would take a lot to do that.
A great project for an Eagle Scout.
Well, you're talking about probably, I'm thinking somewhere around 30 to 40,000 if you add in prevailing wage and all that stuff to put a ramp up. And the masonry, pretty much over the entire monument needs to be pointed.
and that was a quote I got for 46,000.
We got to go.
Yeah, I'll leave it with
Okay, so I went too far.
no. And that was without the railing. And I had put in my photograph, the could see there are 3 steps, but he said you can't do 3 steps there, you could only do 1.
Well, it doesn't really need 3 steps.
No,
If you're gonna make it, if you're gonna do it, you need to make it handicap accessible. and compliant
exactly, that's what I said at
with
the meeting.
ADA. And then, if we keep it steps, it would, so that would mean a, maybe a concrete ramp.
And a railing.
I would say decorative railing.
Yeah.
Be keeping with the architecture.
So,
And what are your thoughts about putting the flags around that?
Yeah, we want to do that, we need 6 flags now. And we talked about moving the American flag pole that's on to the right, that to the rear to the center,
Oh.
and then put 3 and 3 of the service flags behind it.
And would you put the POW on there too? I think that was in my photograph, that the POW was underneath the
So we-
American flag.
we kind
But
of
you
got
do
to
have
come up.
the American flag pole
So-
there.
And no disrespect, and I'm a veteran, so.
I know.
I'm coming from that perspective, no disrespect to the POWs, because just a thought, and I'm on the fence opposed either way. Is that an appropriate place for a POW flag? Because that is primarily a Civil War
Correct,
memorial.
correct, you're right.
So, right.
You're
So,
right. So, yeah, it doesn't have to go there, but I was just surprised that the village, they said to me, I went to their meeting yesterday morning. And Mr., there's a Steinberg, Steen, whatever. He talked to me before the meeting started, so there's nothing in the minutes. So it's my word against his, what he said. And he said to me, I don't want you to say anything about this to anyone. And I said, I was at a board meeting last week and everybody that was in there heard it. And he said, no, keep this quiet. It'll probably take a couple of years. The village isn't going to pay for it because it's not theirs. And I said, you won't even donate any money towards the flag poles? No. He said, but I can do this, he said. And he said, I can get some assemblyman, or I can't think of his name, to come for the ceremony when it's all done. And I went, I don't care about
So,
that part.
all right, so the other thing I think we should do, if we're not doing anything this year.
I understand that.
Is I think we should involve some of the local veterans organizations in this. For input, not only for the placement of flag poles, POW flag, the whole 9 yards, and allow them to have input on
The vets from the Vets Club.
Does our veteran guy answer to you in public safety? What's the answer to?
IGA.
For what?
it.
Bill Cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could tack. However, I do think the first thing is we've got to resolve who owns the line.
Well, they said the county owns it.
I know, but I think we need some kind of legal review.
It's probably a good plan.
I'm gonna go take care of that, right?
On that. I mean, it's gonna take a little while because I don't confuse.
Well, maybe, this may sound silly, but maybe we ought to just check to see if it's on the national register.
That's who I called to begin.
Oh, you did?
Well, I called them because nobody seemed to know who owned it. I said, well, it's in the village. It's on the county property and it's in the town of Otsego. So I assumed you all were a part of it. So when they couldn't come up with an answer, I called to find out who was responsible for maintaining it. And they told me the municipality is.
Well, I do remember when I first got on the board that there was a gentleman that worked on that, but I kind of forgot.
His name was, he's in my book, actually.
Oh, and I think the other thing we
Peter.
decided too was that, or whatever process they use, whether it's muriatic acid or whatever, I'm not an expert in that by any stretch, to clean the.
Well, I would think when you figure out who owns it, what you're gonna do, you're gonna have to go out to bid for somebody to come in and do the work.
Well, I had a quote for that too from a veteran that does that work.
Yeah, well, that's a little.
I understand that, but he said you cannot power wash it it has to be done by hand because it's limestone.
That makes sense.
And just so you know that, I mean, you don't want anybody going up there with.
I'm
I'm
gonna
just telling
carry
you
on
why.
with this, Mr. Wilbur. You're a veteran,
If you'd like me to.
I mean, as far as checking out, who can do it.
I'll
Once we find out who owns it,
coordinate.
what,
We should probably go ahead and reach out to Phil
Right.
and see about funding something now. That can be independent, I mean, conceivably, if it ends up, in fact, the village is responsible for it, and I don't know that that's the case, but even if it's not us, hey, we got you a grant to do this, so it's
Should
worth,
we reach out to planning to see if they know of any?
well, I would think there would be money someplace, because next year's the 250th year. I think there's grant money out there someplace.
There is, and the DAR just opened in August, and they will give you up to $5,000 towards it. I called, her name is Nan Root. She's the head of the DAR in this area. And she was gonna do some research for me to find out how to go about it. I personally can't do a grant, I'm not a nonprofit. And I gave all that information to the village because I thought they were gonna go ahead with it. That's what they had said at the first meeting. But that all changed. But that doesn't surprise me. So there is also one that'll do for like just give you $750, but there's a lot of grants out there for monuments. And I have a list of them I can give you.
there was a motion out of IGA, yes, or earlier this week. They asked for us to establish a pot of money, I believe 25,000 for America 250 activities. Conceivably, something like, we actually have established a new major account code for the county historian. So we could, perhaps put some money for a project like that in that, depending on how the budget process plays out. Let's not forget that as a practical option.
Well, there may be a thing where we don't do it all one year.
Right.
The fights go up after the stone is cleaned or whatever it is, make it a 2-year project or something.
Right.
If we own it, we gotta fix it, we ought to be able to do it the way we want, take as long as we want. But
I
you're,
just felt like getting everybody involved in it, that it wouldn't cost the taxpayers.
well, that doesn't sound like it's gonna happen.
No, I guess not.
Well, there's nothing saying we can't do some type of
Fundraising.
fundraising.
And I would happy to assist it.
Okay, I guess.
All right, so I'll try and do some exploratory with Monica. I want to get your contact info. I think you have it, right? And I'll maybe come back next month with some more.
Yeah, we'll keep on it.
I can give you
Okay, thank you.
stuff.
Mr. O'Brien,
Good morning.
come on up,
Where do you want me?
front row, anywhere.
T-Mobile,
Oh,
on the roof of the county office building. You asked me last month to get with T-Mobile's representatives to address some of or all of the concerns that came out of the building services department. Their responses to those concerns are in your meeting packet, I think.
Mhm.
Thank you. And with Keith's blessing, we've got Kyle Richards and Justin Duncan on Zoom from Transcend Wireless on behalf of T-Mobile. If you have any additional. I was trying to read my notes. You want to go line by line through the concerns with them?
Yeah, might as well.
I just wondered what's, because building services they were really a source of a lot of concern. They've seen the responses. And
They have not.
They have not.
Tim's
on
out
vacation.
till next week, I
Okay.
believe.
So we don't know his feedback yet.
No.
Got it.
No. Kyle, do you have that list in front of you?
Yeah, you're referring to the list of questions and comments you sent over about a month ago?
Yep, those came directly from building services.
Okay. Do you want to go over them?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I gave my copy away, so you're gonna have to drive.
Okay, no problem. And I have my colleague Justin here as well. So the first line is referring to the
Do you have a camera,
Sorry.
Kyle?
yes,
There
can
you
you see me?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, so the first line is referring to radiation exposure, um, concerns about when, employees are working on the rooftop. And our response basically indicated that if there's a kind of a more long-term project going on the roof, we can turn down the antennas or have them shut off for a period of time. It's not really an issue if they're there for up on the roof working for a few minutes. You really just don't want to stand in front of them for hours and hours on end. And we have a field operations person who will be dedicated to the site who, the county could contact or the village can contact if there's an issue, if there's a project coming up, or it seems like the antenna should be turned down or shut off. So that's that's usually what we do there. Obviously have a lot of rooftop installations with a similar setup, and that's how we usually operate with it.
Yes, you got a question?
Yeah,
We got,
not so much a question, to satisfy that one, I would want some type of data to back that up as far as, what's acceptable exposure and things of that nature, because we're gonna have to satisfy the employees on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we generally run a emissions report, and we can provide that. I don't think that's finalized yet on our end, but that's something that we can definitely circulate once we have it. That's just a report that speaks to the emissions and, on the rooftop and what areas are kind of most at risk. So that's a pretty standard report that we always do on a rooftop site. Does that answer that question or that comment?
Yep. So lightning strikes, Kyle?
Yeah, lightning strikes. The equipment is going to be grounded. I generally haven't heard this as being an issue. Justin, do you have anything on that one? That's something that it hasn't really come up as an issue.
No,
In my experience.
usually all the equipment up top, mass
turn,
pipes. I'm sorry.
turn your camera on, Justin.
All right, let me see if I can do that. Where are we here? Give me 1 sec. Figure that out.
All these open meeting law requirements that require us to do stuff like that. Thank God it's not an executive session with you guys.
Okay. I'm all set. So usually every piece of equipment up top is grounded either through the building main ground or I think in this regard we are outside. At least initially, our plans are to be outside in between that foyer area. That would all be grounded, within the building itself, and then everything up top will be set to like a master ground bar. But lightning strikes are very rare. It's not something that we usually hear about as far as any kind of concerns.
We have our IT personnel here. Brian, would you like to address the lightning strikes we've had before?
But we did, when we had the old communication tower in the parking lot, and that wiring went into the building and was connected to some of our equipment, so it was an issue. But my understanding, I haven't seen this in a couple of years, but my understanding, all your equipment's gonna be outside.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm assuming that you're gonna meet the Motorola R56 grounding standards.
Yeah, we'll have our whole, our A&E team will usually have like 2 pages called out to any kind of grounding that's either done within the building or to all of our equipment.
So, there was mentioned there's gonna be a shelter. I mean, they're gonna have a building here.
No, it's more of a like a platform setup that would have our equipment placed upon it.
Outside,
Yes.
over by the loading dock.
It's a pad with a box on it, right? Or a
Yeah,
couple?
it's pretty much an elevated lunar lander kind of structure with steel grating that holds our refrigerator size cabinets and fiber boxes and things like that.
Okay, continue, I guess.
Okay, that's one more question.
Sure.
So you're gonna be the backbone. Who's your carrier for that? How are you gonna get to that location? As far as, are you gonna be tying it in fiber coming off a pole somewhere?
Yeah, that will be done with. We'll have. I think we visited one time before. It was my colleague Rob Cooper has been down there. We went through as far as where we can pull power from and fiber from. Usually, in your building, you would have a telco room that would have either like Spectrum or Verizon, and then T-Mobile would try to enter into a lease with the fiber provider to provide backhaul to T-Mobile.
So you're gonna be in our telco room. I mean, essentially.
Wherever your, I guess it's your NID is, wherever the supply box is, we would have either a single conduit, like 1/2-inch line or an inch line running to our, we call it our Westel, where we put our information in.
Okay.
Next question. This question, the potential need for a Village of Cooperstown variance to place equipment above the existing roof line impacting the view shed in the village. I believe this speaks to going through a planning and zoning approval for the installation. And we defer to the village on what process we need to go through for this type of installation. Where we can provide photo simulations of how it's going to actually look once it's installed, kind of a before and after. That's something we often provide for a rooftop site or even a tower site. So yeah, that was my interpretation of that question. I wasn't sure if my response answered it, but yeah, I mean, it's up to the village and how they want to process it from I guess from a zoning perspective, or if a variance is required based on the scope of work.
Have you had any preliminary discussions with the village planning zoning people yet?
Not at this time. We're still kind of in the process of, I guess, finalizing our drawings. And, been working with Robert obviously on that, and
Yeah.
So we weren't, I guess, quite far along enough in process for that, but we can start having those conversations. Just didn't want to get too far ahead until we know we're moving forward and we have a good design in place.
If they put it on our property, we still gotta do that.
It's not a county project, so.
Right. I suppose we could construct a legal argument that say, no, they don't have a say in it. But this is kind of ambiguous because it's not really a public safety county project. So at the very least, they ought to at least have a reach out, discuss with the village. Yeah,
I think we're exempt from it, but I think we should do that as a courtesy.
right. Right.
It's just good legal practice.
All we want to do. Discussion?
Next question. The next question is installing equipment on top of the existing foam / vinyl coated roof. Questioning the plan of roof replacement, if and when the roof needs to be replaced in the upcoming years. So basically, where we have the equipment located is on the penthouse on the rooftop. We will have hybrid cables on the surface of the roof, which will have sleepers that'll hold the hybrid cables, which will have a padded bottom, so they won't be penetrating the roof at all and can be picked up and re-roofed. If there was a major roof replacement project in the works, we would just have to be notified, um, a certain amount of time in advance. And usually there's language in the lease. Our standard lease agreement has language that speaks to, any kind of relocation efforts that need to take place. But yeah, I mean, this wouldn't be too difficult for us because the antennas are located on the penthouse, so it's really just the hybrid cables you have to worry about. And we deal with roof projects all the time because we've been on roofs for 20 plus years, and we just have to work around that and relocate the equipment temporarily or just figure out a temporary solution for the equipment. So it's not really an issue. Any questions of that one, or is that good to go to the next one?
Been on there too long. Go on, I guess.
Okay, the next question's about placement of equipment directly in front of the windows of the building services office and the PD offices on the first floor. So I believe this relates to the um, where we're locating our equipment platform that Justin was speaking about a little bit ago. And so yeah, our response, I'm not sure if it's more of a aesthetic concern or if it's a health concern. Do you know what that question was, or both, obviously? Is the issue more of just aesthetics, being near those offices, or is it more just a safety thing?
I think it's more for natural light and safety more than anything. I mean, those rooms, there's only a couple rooms down there that have light that let light in too for those people that are working in there. So, and it's probably a safety issue more than anything.
Okay, so you're saying it would block the natural light, essentially?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In many other sites, kind of like this situation, because we're on the penthouse, and this is, and I haven't personally been there. Is this an elevator room up there on the penthouse, or is it an open area, block wall?
It's a block wall. It's kind of an open area between, I guess, the elevator and whatever's there.
Okay. So there is a potential possibility to move that whole ground setup to the roof as far as having it on a cantilevered wall system. We've done this. We've got one south of Rochester, kind of in the works as well. Similar situation where we would be able to have our equipment not on the roof, not penetrating the roof, but off of the penthouse itself. So that way we can get everything out from there. We wouldn't have to deal with any visual disruption for any of the office building down there, and just keep everything up top. That's a potential. It would take a revisit with our A&E to take some measurements and see if we can fit the steel that would be required to hold that cantilevered system together, and then he would run his numbers and we would come up with a solution to move up top, if that's that could be a possibility to resolve that issue.
Great.
Chief, just one other suggestion. Or just point of fact that our server room, our telco room is on the northwest side of the building. And there's already some infrastructure. There's a generator and there's conduit on that wall that I think would be less intrusive if you placed a pad out there.
Okay, let me see. I'm seeing out back by the concrete pathway of that building. I'm just going to pull it up on my map too.
Over there, you'd be a lot closer to our D-mark.
Okay. That's a possibility too. Yeah, obviously, because we're in the beginning stages of, getting this, the details ironed out. I know that we would visit, and if there was a route we could take, to make it work, either by exiting a certain part or going through to get to the elevator room, there's got to be some kind of, conduit system that we can, follow to get to where we need to go. But that would be on our A&E to design, and then we would present that, to Cooperstown to see if that would work. But yeah, thanks for that. That's something that either myself or my colleague will join our A&E, and then someone from the town to follow with us, and agree to a path that would be easiest.
Yeah, and another note on the northern side of the building, towards the northeast corner, there is an old exhaust pipe for a generator that used to be in the basement.
Okay.
Nice, I don't know, probably a good 3-inch steel conduit that could be utilized.
Okay. Yeah, and we nixed our plan for a generator. It seemed like it would be too much to do. I know the old plans a few years back had that placed outside by, I think, Leatherstocking Street, and it was just going to be a big pain. So that's going away in this project.
Yep. And the next question was about that generator, the placement of the proposed generator on Leatherstocking Street. In the current design that we've sent over, we don't have the generator proposed. So with it, like to Justin's point, we had them in earlier designs, but we decided to not proceed with having the backup generator. So yeah, I guess we could just skip that question because it's not really applicable anymore.
Yeah, I mean, to that, if I can piggyback on that, we would ask if the building itself has a backup power system, either in your basement or something like that. Is it a possibility to tie into, so that if the building loses power, you would be backed up to where we would also be backed up if that case happened. But that's again for another visit.
We haven't done that yet. We're still talking about that, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, we don't get full generation power on this building.
So, but we don't.
They were going to put a new one in.
We'll put the new one in at some point, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
We'd have to figure that into the load. right now, the generator that we have will not handle that. But we do have an upgrade plan. We would want to know the load requirement.
Sure. Yeah, we would have load sheets, available. At this point, it's not worth, going too deep into it. If we have an ability to, have a portable generator, if something like that happens, we would run like a power cord up to our PPC panel would have a cam lock generator plug. So if power does go out, we could use that as a temporary solution. Usually it wouldn't be too long, down there.
Okay.
Okay, and the last question here was the need to run wires below the ceiling levels to avoid asbestos exposure. Um, so we weren't really sure about this one. We generally run a lead and asbestos study or a test when we do a new rooftop installation. And if we do find asbestos present, then we have basically mitigation options. The crew can just wear PPE and that sort of thing. We weren't sure where this lets us with the design though, in terms of is the ask to run wires through the building instead of on the side of the building as the current design has it.
That was, I think, if you go through the building, that's the problem. On the outside, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, on the outside.
But if you go through the ceilings in the building or some of the walls, that could be a problem. But if it's on the outside of the building, I don't see no problem.
Yeah, our main cables are running on the outside of the building, from the antenna equipment on the roof to the cabinets. So it really shouldn't be a problem in terms of that. So yeah, I wasn't. I'm hoping the answer that we sent, just really not sure where we need to run them if there was asbestos. But I think based on the current design, that wouldn't really be a concern. And like I said, we'll do a lead and asbestos test, and we're not able to do the work if there's asbestos and we don't have the mitigation procedures in place. And we have a pretty strict regulatory protocol for that sort of thing. So we should have that covered with our process. We'd be aware of it.
I guess at this point, I have one question. Why did you pick us to do this with all the buildings in Cooperstown? Hire this.
Honestly, there was somewhere else down there that it was at a church steeple that Verizon's in. There just wasn't enough room. And I know that Verizon's had their problems at that location. I think is it the courthouse where they had rain going in or something to that effect.
Here at the county and the cupola of the courthouse.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was just curious of all the spots in Cooperstown. How did we get the luck of the draw?
You're probably the town. It's probably hard to do. I'm not trying to look around town here. I think it's more to serve, Doubleday Field and the surrounding residents. There's got to be a hole somewhere. We basically get marching orders to, to deploy and say, hey, this is where we want to go. But that's determined by, T-Mobile RF department, and they see a need in a certain area, and then they tell us, hey, look for buildings around this area of a certain height, and then we go from there. I think at this point, this is the best bet, knowing that we can get, a height that is, good enough, I guess, versus trying to find a plot of land to put a tower on. I know we do have a tower at some location south off of 25, but that's a little too far away for what we're trying to do.
So actually, how far will this reach up the lake and south, east, and west if we put it here? Our service.
This would probably, well, this is a 4-sector site, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, okay. So we'd be covering north, south, east, and west, almost to the 90, 0, 90, yeah, 270. Okay, yeah. So that would be the whole thing. I would say it would reach to the lake. I'm not exactly sure exactly how far which technology goes. I know, being low band technology versus high band technology, one is a short serving, the other is a longer serving. But they're both tied to, the main drive is data. It's all, it's not even calls anymore. It's just about, you know, data driven services that, the area is lacking, put it that way.
Yeah,
Is
we
there
could
any-
have our RF engineer do a write-up. They can provide like a write-up that speaks to exactly where, what spot it's going to hit and how far it's going to reach. That's something we often provide in like a zoning process application. So we could certainly whip that up if it's just helpful to knowing what it's going to cover and how helpful it will be to the community.
Is there any concern that the Verizon equipment's gonna be within 100 feet or so of where you guys are gonna go?
No, usually they operate at a different wavelength. So even though, I mean, if they were, facing each other, close by, that would cause some kind of disruption to services. But at this point, they are at a different rad center than us. I think they've got us probably by maybe 20 feet, if I'm thinking about it right. Yeah, that wouldn't be an issue that would cause any disruption to either, really, because we operate at different wavelengths.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
Do you want me to bring their responses to Tim?
Yes.
For his feedback?
Yes.
And then
Go from there.
do that.
Yeah, I think I spoke to Tim maybe last year or almost a year and a half ago now. His main concern was the roof and how it needed to be protected and not have any penetrations to it, because it was an older roof, and just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be compromised in any way. Which this solution, both solutions, if we move the equipment up top, would also, it wouldn't really have any impact on the roof, which is a good thing.
You satisfied with everything, Mr. McCorney?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
What's the next step outside of Tim's?
I'll take it to Tim and just come back next month.
Yeah, because we're gonna wanna see some type of data.
Design or something?
Well, we have the design plan,
The
right?
contract, we talked about the fee side of it too, that you would
Preliminary.
revisit the monthly part of it with T-Mobile, right? I think we talked about that as well.
We're gonna wanna see the radiation output and also something from the regulatory agency, whoever that regulates this, where the safe levels are and stuff like
We went through that on the
that. Because we're gonna have to satisfy.
Morris
the employees.
Tower site.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a big deal. So I'll get with the Director of Building Services, Kyle, share your responses with him, and we'll tackle this again next month.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Let us know if you guys need anything else in the meantime, or if any other questions come up, and yeah, we'll circle back on it.
Yep, and if there's any way that the town wants to have a walk on site to kind of see things firsthand, we're always available to do that.
That may be later on. Get down the road here a little bit.
That works for us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one. Take care.
Anybody seen? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody seen Rich Bremer? Oh,
Yeah, it's right there.
right there.
Right there.
I don't know.
I know, every word.
give up. Anytime you're ready, my man.
Okay. I'd like to request a motion to renew resolution 403 of 2024 for the funding and filling above base of 3 temporary HMEL1 positions for 2026.
Second.
These are the ones we do every year.
This
We
part,
had
is it a part-time guy?
temporary, yeah, they're full time. We've been really lucky the last several years. We've had 2 guys that have come back every year. Those 2 are up in the air now. We may not get them back. One guy who's retired, has a house in Florida. So the other guy works for Sutco, and he may not come back. We're looking, right now, we're gonna be down 7 people.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
McCarty?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Marietta?
Yes.
Scanlon?
Aye.
Mendez?
Yes.
Okay, all yeses, that passed.
Next one, I'd like to request a motion to extend resolution 284 of 2025 from December 31st through February 28th for the temporary assistant business office manager position. It's D5010510010
So you're extending it, what?
through the end of February. We got the resolution to go to the end of the year, and now Dawn's gonna stay until the end of February.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll motion.
Second?
Second. Yep. Did we get any candidates?
It's out, it's posted right now. So you should get-
So she's gonna stay.
Yeah, she's gonna stay till the
You're
end.
talking to.
Wish. Try.
Okay, I hear a motion and a second. Oh, I did that. Yeah. Do a roll call vote.
McCarty?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Marietta?
Yes.
Scanlon?
Yes.
Mendez?
Yes.
Okay, passed.
Next one, we'd like to request a motion to approve the superintendent of highways to purchase the following pieces of equipment in 2026 out of DM 5130-520000. That's our equipment line, and these will be with CHIPS funds. Brush stripper not to exceed 75,000, a 1-ton sign truck not to exceed 90,000, a 1-ton type plow spreader truck not to exceed 105,000, lowboy trailer not to exceed 140,000, and a double drum vibratory roller not to exceed 185,000.
Motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
These are our yearly ones, and these, we may pull one of these depending on how the budget goes with plow trucks, if there's local funding for plow trucks, or if we have to use CHIPS money again for plow trucks, we may tweak it, but pretty much these are the ones we're gonna buy regardless, that we have to get them ordered. And see where the budget falls in the other.
Approve these before we look at the budget requests? Or when will you order this stuff? If we approve it now?
Right along, we'll get them at least ordered, but like trucks now, like 1-ton trucks, you can get the truck fairly quickly, a few months, but the upfitters are months out. Even like big truck upfitters, they're months out, so we won't get them until mid-year next year.
Where are your upfitters? Are they local?
The last 1-tons we got, they were, the boxes were out by Rochester Way.
So it's not like some big national. These are
No,
regional.
yeah, they're regional. We do buy our plow, the 1-ton plow and salters, we buy them locally. They get a better price.
I guess I better do all that. Trailer, CK yesterday.
Yeah. Not long ago, 10 years.
Well, if something down the road happens, we can always change this, right?
Absolutely, yep. And what we do with these is we do a letter of intent that Steve signs. We don't do a purchase order until the new year when the budget is fully in place. And it has wording in there that says that contingent upon the county board approving the 2026 budget. Monica will phrase that very nicely, and
Okay, okay. Do a roll call vote.
McCarty?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Marietta?
Yes.
Scanlon?
Aye.
Mendez?
Yes.
Sorry, one more thing on that. Generally, it saves us money like November-ish. Some of these companies, they have a bump, so we get more before they make the next one, we'd like to request a motion to approve the superintendent to purchase a standby generator for the Linden Ave facility at a cost not to exceed $45,000 out of the 5132-525000. That's our renovations line.
Got a motion,
Second.
discussion.
We've talked about this one multiple times. We don't have an adequate generator. We have right now a military generator that is nowhere near adequate. We budgeted for it. You know, if we lose power, we lose fuel. Us, ambulances, sheriff, buildings. Power, we don't have.
So is this generator diesel or propane?
We haven't got that far into it yet. Diesel, a fully enclosed diesel unit would set better close to where the electric is. The propane is on the other side of the building, but we'll vet that all out. See, you know, and our thoughts are that we buy one that can move if we
So moved.
get it.
We'll move what? Oh,
We already keep asking for it.
yeah, but we gotta do a roll call vote.
We didn't move on that already, did we?
We had a motion and second, didn't we?
Oh, that's right, I did second that. I was thinking it was for something else. My error, sorry.
Put that in the record, error. Any more discussion?
It's gonna be giddy for the rest of the day.
I guess as far as if our county administrator and in the budget, we'll do a roll call vote.
McCarty?
Aye.
Wilbur?
Aye.
Marietta?
Yes.
Scanlon?
Aye.
Mendez?
Yes.
That passed. But I did, is that something people have in stock? Just before winter or in case
I
fire?
would think so. You know, we're gonna use the building service contract for upstate to do the electric on it. When we looked at them a few years ago after COVID, we, you know, really got on and they were year out. We haven't got that far into it yet. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it if you guys ever say no.
You'll let us know.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's kind of important during an emergency to have fuel.
Yeah. That's all I got. One note, line striping, they said they were coming this week. Now they pushed us back to next week, but, and we got most of our grader shipment done, so they're gonna be able to do a lot of our roads. We still got 2 roads that haven't paved, contract, yeah.
Well, that's a nice job on County Route 27.
Yes,
That's,
they come out really good.
you know, really make a nice little speedway down through there.
Boy, Yep.
And good job with shimming on County 30 too.
we're gonna do shoulder, it should be next week, the 27th, shoulder rest up on that. That's all I got. I already stressed the short staff for this winter. Other than that, I got nothing. Anything?
Everybody got anything, Rich?
Nope.
We're all set.
Okay.
I would like to talk to you out.
Oh,
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Run now, Rich.
That's gonna take this week on.
Does our county administrator have anything for this committee? No. Does anybody have anything for this committee? Motion for adjournment,
So moved. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Bye. Thank you.
Recording stopped.